I recently discussed the first American Pie film and described how I was actually really, really pleasantly surprised by it, despite the fact it's not necessarily my kind of film. But there are a lot of things about that film that, from a creative perspective, make it actually pretty decent. When it comes to American Pie 2, it's alright. I think it's a pretty decent sequel, and in fact it is a good sequel, because it retains a lot of the same qualities of the original, but takes us to a new setting. The gang are now at college, so they've matured, I use the word loosely, from high school. However, if I view this on its own, because you don't technically need to have watched the first one to be able to watch this one, this on its own just isn't that great. So I think watching it as a sequel and having that slight character development and being able to call upon memories from the first film make it a little bit more interesting. It was released in 2001. It's insane to think it was 20 years ago. Directed by J.B. Rogers, written by David H. Steinberg, and stars most, maybe even all of the original cast: Jason Biggs, Alyson Hannigan, Sean William Scott, and the concept is basically the same. Now, the original was about them all trying to lose their virginity by prom night. With this one, they are in college, as I said, and they go to a beach house. And as I'm sure you're aware, beach houses and teenagers in a film result in chaos. Sometimes horrific chaos, sometimes comedic chaos. This one, it's fine. It's not laugh out loud funny. The script's not as fantastic. Stifler's mom has still got it going on, but for the most part, I feel like it's not as powerful as the first film. If you like this kind of humour, kind of juvenile, sex-based, gag-based humour, gag's maybe not the right word to use there, but I think you'll like it, because it does have its strong points. But I liked the first film despite my comedic preferences. This one's just not as technically good. The narrative's not as interesting. The acting is good. The characters have a little bit of development. There's nothing wrong with the directing. The camera works fine. Soundtrack's not something I remember, which means it wasn't bad. It's just losing that little bit of spark that the first film has, that makes the first film actually better than you could expect. American Pie 2 is a decent sequel. Watching it on its own, it lacks quite a bit. If you've seen the first film and liked it, I definitely recommend the second one, because I think it might be able to offer you something really fun. If you didn't like the first, I'd say the second one's definitely not worth watching, because it's definitely not a step up. Sometimes a sequel can be better than the original, but this is definitely not the case here. However, I do really like Jason Biggs. It's a good enough film. Ticks most of the boxes, just not quite reaching the heights of the first one.